Hello beautiful people, it's Robyn Thomas here with Resemble Me by Robyn. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, so as you can tell by the title and the first few seconds of the video, I'm going to be installing micro braids on silky straight hair. This will be a first for me, installing micro braids on silky straight hair. I have installed box braids on silky straight hair, other races who have straighter textures, but I have never done micro braids. So this is a first for me, this is a first for him. And yeah, so I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about my experience from things that I've known prior to installing these braids, and also I guess what was reiterated when I was actually installing his micro braids. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Alright, so first things first, I am going to tag my other micro braid videos below so you can see how I normally install my micro braids. That's extremely detailed. As I mentioned in the beginning, this will be more so telling of this install specifically, and the things to think about if you have a straighter texture and you're thinking about getting micro braids, or if you're a braider and you're like, can I do micro braids on straight textures? So I just want to tell you the experience I had braiding his hair and kind of let you go from there. So like I mentioned, it was his first time getting micro braids, my first time doing micro braids on silky hair. I have installed box braids on silky hair before, and actually even some Marley twists on silky hair, maybe not straight texture like where it's just straight, but on very silky hair. So I have installed those styles in them before. All right, so first and foremost, this install took a very long time. So it already takes me extra time when I'm installing box braids or Marley twists, or mainly box braids. I'm just gonna say box braids. It already takes me a little longer to install box braids on shorter textures. Like, I get mostly Hispanic clients that have straighter texture hair, but this goes for, Asian, white, Indian, anybody with straight textures. So I normally do install, or what was I saying? So yes, normally when I'm installing on straighter hair, it does take me a little longer, just because straighter and silky textures are that is literally the explanation that I can give you. So the fact that I was doing micro braids, which are, as you see, micro, very tiny, it took me a lot longer. And he's a male, and males have bigger heads. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we wanted to make sure to get every piece of the hair in there, making sure that I was braiding past his hair. So if you've seen my other videos, which I will link down in the description, if you see my other videos, you know that I do not tie the ends of the hair. So I don't knot the ends. I personally do not like how that looks. My micro braids stay intact with the way that I do it. So I braid it down, I braid past the client's hair. And once I get past the client's hair, I start to confuse the hair. So basically what that means is I start to borrow hair from each section to another section many times as I'm going down. You kind of see me just do it right then. Okay. One reason that it takes longer for me to install on silky hair is because the hair just doesn't cooperate like Afro hair does. And I say that because yes, it's straight and you may not have to deal with like the kinks and stuff like that, but those kinks really do help. I don't know, it's just like keeps it in place. It just helps keeps it in place. So if I'm like doing like box braids or something and I like push something off to the side and I pin it down, it's going to stay like that. If you can see, the clip on the left is already starting to like loosen up and I have to continue to put product on it and push it to the side. So a lot of the time the hair is just, it's silky, it just kind of wants to fall. It wants to fall out of the clips that are being put to the side. Little strands, that I didn't part inside of it want to, come over and join us in this braid. And it's like, no, I don't want you, I don't want you in this braid. So look, I just did it again. So constantly having to, that takes time. So I'm doing micro braids, right? So if this back part is probably going to have like, I don't know, 20 rows or 20 columns, with, I don't know how many, let me see. I'm trying to see if I can count how many braids it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's say about 8 to 10, depending on if you're going down, maybe 8 to 10, 11 braids. And I'm constantly having to make sure hair isn't getting in the way. Other hair that I don't want in the way is getting in the way. That takes time. That's just the back of his hair. So that is something that you really have to think about. The hair just kind of, the flyaways are there, and also it takes a lot more product whenever installing on silky or textured hair, just because I need the hair to do what it is that I need it to do. So that's something that you're going to want to think about if you're thinking about installing micro braids, you know what I mean, or any type of braids to the hair. Sometimes it does take, well, for me, it always takes me a little bit longer. So like if I do box braids, it may take me like another 30 minutes, just making sure that the hair is where it's supposed to be. So because they're micros, they're extremely tiny, that takes a lot of time. Another thing that I really want to make known is maintenance. Okay. So I encourage all of my clients to continue with their regular maintenance routine. So if you moisturize your hair every 3 days, I expect you, or I encourage you to do that. Continue to moisturize your hair as if your hair was in a free state. We all know that if you don't put any type of moisture to your hair and you take your hair down, people say, oh, braids broke my hair. No, baby, you had them braids in for 8+ weeks and you added not a single drop of water because you were afraid of your hair freezing out. And that is why your hair broke. It is parched, okay? Very thirsty. So I encourage my clients to continue their wash routine, to continue their moisture routine, to make sure they are doing keeping up the same routine. Make sure that their protective style is actually protecting. The protective style is set there so that you don't have to manipulate your hair with combs and brushes and things like that, but you are to still keep up with your routine to make sure that your hair is still on a healthy tip. So one of the things that you have to keep in mind is Afro hair expands when it's wet. Listen, we all know I go to get my silk press, I'm not working out, I'm not going swimming, I darn near don't want to take a shower because I don't want any steam, anything to revert my roots. I want to keep my silk press as silky, silky, slick as possible for as long as possible, because it reverts back. So think about when we sweat, the roots revert back. When we put water to it, the roots start to revert back. Okay? The hair expands. Silky hair textures, you see it on movies whenever they're, washing their hair in the shower. You see it all the time if they're sweating, playing a sport or something. Their hair becomes even more thin. Their hair becomes full whenever they blow it out. Same thing as when we used to have perms. Our hair seemed really, really stringy when it was in its wet state. But after, we got it styled and it went to the dryer, or, went under the dryer and it dried, it expanded to its nice and full thickness, or, natural density or whatever. So micro braids, again, I do not tie the ends of my braids, but I do go down and I confuse them. Unlike box braids or Marley twist or whatever, the hair is not braided all the way to the ends and dipped and sealed. Okay? So that is something that you are going to have to consider if you sweat a lot. And that's another thing. Silkier textured hair, the natural hair sebum is easier for their natural hair sebum, the oil that comes to their on their scalp, because their hair goes down like with gravity. It's much easier for their natural oil to go down the shaft of their hair, which is why people with silkier textures tend to wash their hair a lot more often. We wash our hair maybe 1-2 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, because we have to add products like water, and we have to add oil because our hair defies gravity. Okay, so our curls, when it goes up, our hair is going up when it's in its natural state. It's not easy. You know what I'm saying? It's almost inevitable, because that's just not how gravity works. So we add products to help to keep our hair moisturized and all that. Okay, any type of water or anything that's like wet, a liquid, reverts our hair back to its natural state. So if we've had our braids in and our roots have grown out a little bit, as soon as we put a little bit of water to it, it expands it. So it's almost like it seals the hair in and secures the hair in even more. With silkier textures, because their hair most of the time falls down whenever they sweat, whenever you add water, whenever you're adding oil, it gets slippery. Okay, so that's something that you have to keep in mind. It becomes slippery. Another thing that you want to keep in mind as well is normally more hair is used for silkier textures, simply because their hair, for the most part, is healthy. Okay, before you get on me like, oh, my hair ain't healthy, hold on. Okay, sometimes, me personally, I don't mind it. I would rather you have healthy hair than not healthy hair. But some braiders do not like when clients come with their ends freshly clipped, with a nice fresh trim, because when you don't come with your ends trim, it creates a taper, which makes the hair easier to kind of fall in. It becomes thinner, as you're going down, for the hair to be able to go easily into the braid. A lot of silky textures, their hair is just, it's normally always full from the root to the tip. They may not have to clip their ends as often because their hair is always moisturized. They have to, as I said earlier, they normally have to wash their hair a little more often, because the grease actually coming down, or the sebum from their scalp actually coming down, makes their hair greasy. So they need to cleanse it because they don't want it to be flat and dull. Okay, us on the other end, a lot of the times our hair tapers off, as opposed to having blunt cut ends. Because of that, more hair normally has to be used because you want to tuck the ends of the hair in. More hair tends to have to be used, so you won't see this to the end of the video, but I only had a little bit of hair left for him. And normally I feel like I'll have a little bit, I will have a little bit more hair. Also depends on the inches that you're installing, because we all know the longer the hair is, the more bundles you'll have to get, because the less they go off of a certain weight. Like if the hair is virgin hair, which is this hair from his or her hair company, virgin hair goes off of a weight, so they're selling a certain weight. So 12 inches would be a bundle would be a lot thicker than 22 inches, a 22-inch bundle, because they're going off the weight. The length adds a little bit more weight to that. So that's something that you definitely want to keep in mind whenever you are purchasing the length of your hair. So if you're like trying to go like really, really long and you have straighter texture, then more hair would have to be used. And also, I mean, you can kind of see it back here, but also when you get to the top, I go with the density of the client's hair. Whatever the section of hair that I'm doing, whatever the braid that I'm putting in right then and there, I go off of the density of the hair. So I'm always thinking about, okay, making sure that I can go past it and it's not like, and it's camouflage, everything is tucked in. Speaking of tucked in, that's another thing. So it is silky hair on silky hair. It's really hard to know whose hair you're cutting. So I opted not to trim the extra hair that I normally would, because with afro hair, normally it just kind of blends in. With silky hair, it's silky. The hair is silky. If it's the same color, it's like, What I'm not trying to do is, if some of your hair is sticking out a little bit, which happens, you know what I'm saying? Even with me putting as much product and stuff as I did on, I'm telling you guys, it just doesn't cooperate like black hair. It doesn't cooperate like afro hair. So that was something that I was cautious of. Even as I was braiding, I was saying, okay, the hair is, in there. But then when I went back to like finish a section, sometimes it's just a little hair, a strand to stick out here, a little strand to stick out there. So to make sure that he continued to have his hair, I didn't cut up the shaft of the braids, because again, I want him to have his hair, you know what I'm saying, when he does come out of these braids. So that's something that you want to consider when purchasing your length and how many bundles you're deciding to purchase based on the length of the braids that you want in. Most of this video is sped up, so you can't see that it was taking me a while, you know what I'm saying, to install the braids one by one. Although I was moving pretty fast, again, he's a man, so he has a bigger head, you know what I'm saying, but it did take much longer. So we were there from 6 a.m. until 12 midnight. Okay, y'all. We did take, I took some breaks here and there. I know we took like a 30-minute lunch. And then, all together we're just taking a break and snacking here, maybe bathroom there. I'm sorry I'm saying so much. I actually have the hiccups right now. Yes, I'm kind of trying to camouflage that. But I'll say altogether we probably took about an hour break. Okay, so it did take all day, but I was determined to finish. One thing about myself is I love what I do, but I want to be done just as much as you want me to be done. We all know braids take a long time. So what I will not do is take my time if I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? So it really did take me a while to install these braids. Again, because I don't confuse the end. Because I confuse the ends and I don't tie it. Knowing that his hair was silky, I tried to make sure that I went well past and confused the ends well past his hair. And actually his hair, y'all, their hair just grows so fast, because when he sent me his consultation photos, I kid y'all, his hair was not this long. And he didn't even realize how long his hair has gotten. He was like, oh, it should be an inch and a half by the time I get to you. Y'all, this is clearly like 2.5 inches. Like, and granted, we did, I mean, let me see, we scheduled a month in advance, but that is fast, y'all. I don't know exactly how recent that picture was that he sent me, but we were both surprised, at the length of his hair. Like, it was really long compared to what he had, the picture that he had sent me for his consultation. So again, those are things that you really just want to keep in mind when it comes to investing in something like micro braids. The amount of time that it's going to take you, how long you want to keep the install in, and things like that. So those are things that you want to think about. Will you be able to keep up with the maintenance? What would maintenance look like for you? I encourage my clients to put water to their scalp. But some people opt for like dry shampoo to cleanse their scalp. So researching and figuring out those things, I think, would help prior to deciding to do an install on silky hair. Install like micro braids on silky hair, even with like box braids, because when you have the box braids in and you wet it again, that their hair is it thins out. So the roots almost a little bit, just a little bit. But the thing about box braids is it's a 3-strand. You know what I mean? It's 3-strand, and again, it's braided all the way to the end. So those are things that you have to think about. I'm really those are the only things I can think of. So I'm going to let you guys watch the rest of the install. If you have any other questions, put them in the comment area, and I'll be sure to answer those for you the best that I can. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this install. If you have silky hair and you're thinking about getting micro braids, I hope that these things that I've said, you think about and take it into consideration. And even he enjoys his install. So thank you all for watching, and I'm going to let you all continue. And peace and blessings.
Soul music.